What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Misplayed Magic, the only Magic the Gathering YouTube channel doing giveaways based on how I draft. You'll see up on the screen here, if I get 0 wins in this draft, I'm giving away a collector booster pack to one of you, all the way down to if I get 7 wins, I'm giving away a draft to one of you. All you have to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below on how you think this draft went. Typically, this is when I would jump in and do a fun challenge, but today we are so close to Mythic ranked. You'll see on the screen I am 3 wins away. So we're scrapping the challenges and hopefully I can climb to Mythic in this video. Let's go ahead and jump into it here. Alright, hopping into this first pack. Hopefully we can open a solid rare to get things started, help us on our climb, and we don't. We open a United Battlefront, which allows us to look at the top 7 cards of our library, choose 2 non-creature, non-land permanents with mana value 3 or less, and put them onto the battlefield. It is really bad. If we had a lot of Stormplane Detainments, like maybe it would be okay, but even then, it's not a card we want to be playing here. Other considerations, I don't love anything too much in this pack. Urini's Rebuff is alright. The Sunpearl Kirin is okay at uncommon. Fleeting Effigy also can be good if we're in like a super aggressive deck. But I really am looking at the Salt Road Pack Beast here. I think that's going to be our first pick. It'll help us be in a somewhat aggressively slanted deck. And I just like it a little bit more than both the Kirin and the Effigy here. So we're going to be picking that up to start our draft. And hopping into this next pick, there is a War Effort, which I think we are more than happy picking up here and going extremely aggressive. So we're excited to pick that up. Hopping into our third selection. So wow, there's a lot of really good Boros cards. Really excited about Frontline Rush. I think that's probably going to be our selection here. Stormblood's good, Bear of Glory's good, Coordinated Maneuver's good, but Frontline Rush is just fantastic. I love the second ability that lets you add +X to a creature and kind of lets you surprise your opponents for lethal. So I'm very, very excited to pick that up here, and what's a really good and quick Boros start that we have so far. Alright, moving into this next selection, there is another Fleeting Effigy, which we are really excited by. Just going to snap pick that up as a really good aggressive creature, and we're probably going to go just hyper aggressive with this deck here. Moving on into our 5th pick, a Sonic Shrieker is there, which is just a fantastic dragon. Definitely a sign here that Mardu is probably open, so we are going to be very excited to just pick that up quickly here. Heading on into our 6th pick, there's a couple cards I like here. Reverberating Summons is okay. Osseous Exhale is a fine removal spell, but not one I like when we're being super aggressive. So I think we're just going to go with the Underfoot Underdogs here as a really solid 3-drop creature that helps fill our curve. It's good with things like the War Effort and the Frontline Rush, so I think that's going to be our pick here. Alright, continuing on in this pack, we've got a Lightfoot Technique that's a decent enough combat trick. I'm not sure you want it. Seize Opportunity is also fine, but I think we're probably going to just pick up a Reigning Victor here as a super decent curve-filling creature in Mardu, and potentially, we'll splash black or be playing 3 colors, so I think we're fine picking that up here. Alright, continuing through this pack, we don't have a lot of 2-drop creatures, so I think the Riling Dawnbreaker does look decent. Early cost also can be really good if we have a bunch of mobilized tokens. So those are kind of the 2 things I'm between in this pack. I think we're going to go with the Dawnbreaker here just because I'm not positive we're going to be playing Mardu all 3 colors. So we're going to snap up the Dawnbreaker here. Here we're back to our original pack, and I don't really know that we're going to be playing black, so I'm just going to take another Reigning Victor here over something like a Seize Opportunity. Moving on into our 10th pick. There's nothing I love here. The Lancer's okay, so we're just going to pick that up here. Now we're very excited to see a Bearer of Glory to help fill our 2-drop slot. It's our first 2-drop creature. Frontline Rush can be 2/1/1s, but we're very excited to pick up the Bearer of Glory here. Moving on into this 12th pick, I actually am pretty excited to pick up a Wild Ride here as a decent enough spell. We'll take another Dragonback Lancer. I doubt we'll play 2 of those. Aggressive Negotiations is fine. All right, heading into this next pack, the aggressive things are going. So we are very excited to pick up a Stadium Headliner here. There is an Eshki Dragonclaw, which is super strong. Defibrillating Current could be decent. Storm of Attainment's also a good removal spell, but we're going to take the 1-drop here. I really am a huge fan of this card. Wow, hopping into this next pack, a Windcrag Siege is fantastic for our deck. One of the best Boros cards you can get. We are passing on a Mardu Devotee and a Devoted Duelist, but we are super excited to pick that out. Hopping into our 3rd selection here, Sarkhan could be decent. We've got the Riling Dawnbreaker, we've got the Sonic Shrieker, so could potentially get a treasure there. I'm not a huge fan of the other red cards in this pack, and I don't really want to take the fixing, so we're going to go with the Sarkhan here in this pack. Moving on into our 4th selection here. Nature's Rhythm is the rarest in the pack. It's not fantastic. We could take a Tempest Talk, but I don't really think this deck wants to be doing Tempest Talk things. So I'm between either the Equilibrium Adept or the Rescue Leopard. I think I like the Adept more than the Dragonback Lancer there, so I'm going to go with the Equilibrium Adept over something like that, just because I think the card draw is good enough for us. Moving on into our 5th pick. We are super excited to pick up a Duty Beyond Death here. Really a premium card in Mardu decks. Could take the Bloodfell Caves as some fixing or a Mardu Devotee, but I think the Duty Beyond Death is going to be awesome, and we might just be playing a really aggressive Boros deck. Yeah, moving on to this next pack, Dalkovan Pack Beasts are still there, which is one of my favorite cards. Really fun, you just make a bunch of tokens. Goes great with our Duty Beyond Death, and then also our Bearer of Glory. We could take a Fortress Kenguard here, but I'm pretty excited to pick up the Dalkovan Pack Beasts. Alright, moving on to this next pack. We are super excited to pick up our first Fortress Kenguard. Goes great with the Frontline Rush and the Bearer of Glory. Just having a really wide board, being able to attack that way. So very excited to pick that up here. Hopping on into our 8th selection here, we could take a Coordinated Maneuver as a good removal spell. I think we're going to prioritize it here over the fixing just because we don't have a lot of removal effects yet. So that's probably just going to be our selection here. Continue our 9th pick. I think we're very excited to pick up a Devoted Duelist. Stormbeacon Blade is interesting. If it were going to work in a deck, it probably would be this one. But I would much rather have a Devoted Duelist on 2, so much so that I'm going to take another one. Here, we could take a Rescue Leopard. It's fine. I mean, we'll take another one. There's a world in which we play those if we're just playing Boros and we need playable cards. Here, we'll take another Reigning Victor, which is totally fine. We'll take an Unburied Earthcarver, although we're probably not playing that. Hopping into our 3rd pack, we do open a white rare in the Dalkovan Encampment. So that's pretty interesting. I'm going to just lay out my creature curve real quick so we can see what we're working with here. So I do think we really want to start prioritizing 2-drops and 3-drops in our deck. But I think Dalkovan Encampment is going to be strong enough for us, making those 1/1 tokens, that we are going to add it into our deck. And then hopefully we can pick up some more cards like the Underfoot Underdogs. So we're going to go with the Encampment here. Here, wow, we're very excited to see a Tursa Light Shatter as a really premium 3-drop. Thinking about a Molten Exhale as a solid removal spell, but I think we have to go with the Tursa Light Shatter here over something like that Molten Exhale. Alright, moving on to this next pack. I do think we need to prioritize the removal effect in the Defibrillating Current. It's not my favorite removal spell in the world, but it is pretty good. Heading on into our 4th pick here. We could take another Riling Dawnbreaker, or we could take something like a Poised Practitioner that goes well with the Wild Ride. Mythic Artisan could help us cast our Sonic Shrieker. Send about 16 creatures, 7 non-creatures. So we're going to pick up the Riling Dawnbreaker here as our selection. Moving on into our 5th pick. I'm not a huge fan of the Reverberating Summons, so I also don't think the Riverwheel Sweep is super strong. I think we'd be casting that for 4, so I'm not super interested in that. So I think here I'm probably just going to prioritize the fixing in the Evolving Wilds so that we can cast our Sonic Shrieker. So that's going to be my pick here. Wow, a couple of really good Mardu cards here. We could take the Thunder of Unity or another Sonic Shrieker. So Mardu definitely was open. I do think we're going to go with the Sonic Shrieker here, just because if we have a hard time with our mana, Thunder of Unity on 3 is tough, but Sonic Shrieker, by our 5th turn, we should be able to cast it. So that's what I'm going to go with here, and we are more than happy to pick up our 2nd Sonic Shrieker. All right, moving into this next pack. So now we have double Sonic Shrieker, so I really want to make sure our mana base is as shored up as it possibly can be. So here we could take something like a Narset's Rebuke or a Poise Practitioner, but I'm actually going to prioritize the fixing in the Embermail Sentinel. Moving on to our 8th pick, we could take another Coordinated Maneuver or an Underfoot Underdogs. We've got 19 creatures, so I'm going to prioritize the removal spell here and the Coordinated Maneuver. Hopping into our 9th pick, I guess we'll take a Sunshield. Here I'm very excited to pick up another Bearer of Glory. It's just a really premium 2-drop in these quick Boros decks. Here we'll take a Tempest Hawk. I don't think it is Tempest Hawk time currently. We'll take another Wild Ride. We'll actually take a Meticulous Artisan. Might be helpful for us fixing our mana, getting that treasure, and we'll finish off with a Heritage Reclamation. Alright, so here is a deck we're rocking with today as we try to climb to Mythic. I am leaving the double Sonic Shrieker in there. We only have 2 Swamps, but we've got an Evolving Wilds, Meticulous Artisan, a Sarkhan. Hopefully we can cast it here. I'm banking on the fact that our mana will be okay, but we've got a really solid curve, and hopefully this can be the deck that gets us to Mythic. Rocking with 16 creatures, 8 non-creatures, and we'll see. Hopefully we can get it done here. Alright, hopping into our first game here. Our opponent goes first, but we are more than happy keeping this. We can play the Stadium Headliner on 1, which we are super excited about. And then I'm probably just going to go get a Swamp with our Evolving Wilds here, so that we can then play our Pack Beasts on 3. Opponent's going to play a Sagu Wildling, which is totally fine by us. We'll get at least 1 free attack in with his Stadium Headliner. And then I do think, yeah, we're just going to go and get the Swamp here. I really want to get the Pack Beasts out on 3. So we're going to go ahead and just get all of our lands going. And then eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to play our Sonic Shrieker after playing our Pack Beast and our Meticulous Artisan. Our opponent is continuing to play things slowly, so we're going to start by attacking here. And then I just want to play out the Pack Beasts. And then next turn we'll be attacking for a lot of pressure. Wow, surprised our opponent didn't have a removal spell there. So we're excited about that. Sand Skidder Outrider is solid here. War Effort is a super interesting draw. So I think we're just going to play out our War Effort here. And then if they want to trade with our Dalkovent Pack Beasts, they would still be losing the Sand Skidder Outrider, and this just allows us to get in for a bunch of damage with all of our Mobilize tokens. Yeah, so I'm just going to go with that here, and then we're just going to attack everywhere. And if they want to double block our Pack Beast, they are going to be taking 10 damage. So I think we're totally fine with this exchange. Just putting maximum pressure on our opponent, and we still do have stuff like the Fortress King Guard in hand, so hopefully we can punch through some damage. They have a Lacid Prowler, which is pretty good. They will get some counters. So Tursa Light Shatter is a pretty fantastic draw for us. I think we're going to start by playing that. And then as it stands, we have lethal. We'll discard 2 cards. I do think we're going to discard the Fortress Kinguard here to potentially draw a land. And then we are just going to attack everywhere, and hopefully this is lethal. If they have the 1 mana Humbling Elder, it would not be, but we get there. All right, first game is a victory in the books, and you'll see we are inching ever so closer to Mythic. So hopefully we can keep it up here. All right, hopping into this next game, we go first. We are more than happy keeping this. We can go Devoted Duelist on 2 into our Pack Beasts on 3. And then eventually Duty Beyond Death, Salt or Pack Beast will be good. So very, very excited with this opening hand here. Now we will just play out our Devoted Duelist, do 2 points of damage to our opponent. Kishla Skimmer is pretty solid. We do draw a Swamp, which is great for our mana later. I do think now we'll attack. We'll offer a trade with the Kishla Skimmer. I definitely think their creature is better than ours. And then our second main phase, we'll just use it to play our Dalkovan Pack Beasts. So now we'll just play our Dalkovan Pack Beasts. And next turn we can hopefully cast a cheap Salt Road Pack Beast with the mobilized tokens from the Dalkovan ones. Looks like our opponent is playing a Sultai deck with the Swamp there. And they're just putting a 1/1 counter on the Kishla Skimmer. So I think we're actually pretty happy with that here. So we're going to play our planes. We're going to start by just attacking. We do have the Duty Beyond Death up, so if they try to block our Devoted Duelist with the Kishla Skimmer, we can sacrifice a token and give it indestructible. And I think we're more than fine with that trade. Alright, so it looks like they are going to block, so we're going to go for the Duty Beyond Death here. We are going to be losing a token, so our Pack Beast will now cost 2 mana, but alright, we get rid of their Kishla Skimmer here, so I think we're totally fine with that trade. And thank you. Yeah, next turn we can go Windcrag Siege or Meticulous Artisan. So we are happy with that. So I'm thinking about just attacking with the Pack Beasts, both the Dalkovan and the Salt Road Pack Beast here, just because they kind of have tough blocks. And then we can just like play out our Windcrag Siege. So I'm just going to attack with those two to start here. We're going to leave back the Devoted Duelist, just because I think if they killed our Devoted Duelist and then had removal for one of our Pack Beasts, we would not feel super great about that. And this, we're still maximizing our pressure. And then we're just going to play out the Windcrag Siege. I think making a 1/1 token every turn is going to feel pretty insane on this board. So we're more than happy to do that. Enoch Wayfarer is decent. Looks like our opponent will go back and get a Swamp with it. And they're going to play an Essence Anchor, which will make a 2/2 this turn, but I don't think is quite enough for what they're looking for. So we're going to play our Meticulous Artisan first, so that we can double spell and play our Underfoot Underdogs and get our trigger with the Devoted Duelist here. And then we are just going to attack everywhere. Just putting maximum pressure on our opponent here. So we've got them down to 2 now. And hopefully this is enough. All right, we get there again in game 2, and we continue to climb the ladder. We are 1 game away from reaching Mythic. All right, hopping into this next one. I do think we owe it to ourselves to try it. We can play the Stadium Headliner on our first turn, and then we can play the Frontline Rush if we are desperate for creatures on our second turn. So hopefully we can draw a land and play out things like our Tursa Light Shatter, our Underfoot Underdogs. But either way, we can have a pretty good aggressive start here. The Fortress Kingguard is a fantastic draw. So we are just going to play that during our second main phase here. And then making a 1-1 and just going as wide as we possibly can here because we want to maximize the potential for our frontline rush here. Our opponent's got an Enoch Wayfarer, which is solid, but not the best blocker in the entire world. Okay, so actually I'm going to make it into a 2-2 for blocking sake. So I think now we'll just play out our Tursa Light Shatter. And then I'm actually going to discard our Sonic Shrieker just because we can't cast it at the moment. We do draw a Plains, which is fine. And then we're just going to attack with the Tursa Light Shatter here. I'm just continuing to do some damage to our opponent. They play a Dismal Backwater, get some land back. And then a 3-3 Formation Breaker is pretty solid here. I do think now we'll just play out our Underfoot Underdogs. And then I don't really want to trade with their Formation Breaker, so we're just going to pass here with the Tursa Light Shatter. And then leaving up the Bearer of Glory in the Frontline Rush next turn. Trader Envoy is decent, but we do have some things that can attack through that. Dalkovan Packbeast is an interesting draw here. So I do think we want to just play out our Bearer of Glory, and then now we can frontline rush and just absolutely maximize the damage that we're doing to our opponent. So I don't think we want to make anything unblockable with the Underfoot Underdogs. We're just going to attack with everything and hope for the best here. We also are leaving up the ability of the Stadium Headliner that we could potentially take out the Enoch Wayfarer here, take the 1-1 counter off of it, and then also shrink the Formation Breaker. So we could frontline rush. We also might just use the Stadium Headliner's ability, depending on how they block, to get a little bit of a 2-for-1 in by killing the Wayfarer and then also the Formation Breaker. I do think this is a better block than they had originally had it set up. So as it stands like this, they'll take 6 damage. If we want to frontline rush, they'd be taking 14, which puts them to 2. Yeah, I think we have to go for it here. Just to get them as low as possible, and then hopefully, you know, we'll have enough to get it. We'll have enough to get it through after this. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. I think it's gonna give us our best chance of winning. So I'm gonna put the +8/+8. Doesn't really matter. I'll put it on this goblin here, and then we get our opponent down to 2. They do keep a lot of their creatures alive here, but I'm still hopeful that with the Pack Beast in hand, we have enough to do lethal here next turn or the turn after. So they get a life back with the Thornwood Falls, which is not super ideal. And then they are going to Piercing Exhale our Bearer of Glory here, which is not great. So we did attack pretty aggressively there in that first attack, which may not have been the brightest idea, but we've got our opponent down to 3. I'm hopeful that these Dalkovan Pack Beasts can take us over the finish line here. Alright, we draw the Duty Beyond Death here, which is really interesting with our Pack Beasts. It also does allow us now to, we can kind of just attack aggressively, and then we can potentially Duty Beyond Death, save 2 things, and kill 2 things of our opponents here. So that's kind of what we're going to go for here. I think we are more than happy with this block. And then I'm actually going to sacrifice, instead of the token, I'm going to sacrifice the Fortress Kingguard here so that we take out both the Enoch Wayfarer and also the Trade Route Envoy. And then their Formation Breaker will shrink down to a 2-1. If they have a removal spell here, it's pretty brutal. But hopefully they don't. Looks like they have some instant. Okay, they don't. All right, so we are going to take out their Anok Wayfarer and their Trader Envoy, and then hopefully next turn the Pack Beast will be enough to get it done here. All right, they do have an Auroral Procession here, so they can get the Piercing Exhale back, which is pretty insane here. So they can put the counters on the Formation Breaker. They can take out the Tursa Light Shatter, which is not ideal for us. So hopefully our Pack Beast can get it done here. Devoted Duelist is a pretty good draw. So we're going to pass, and then next turn we're going to play our Devoted Duelist, attack everywhere, and hopefully we can push through this 3 points of damage. Alright, they played an Adorned Crocodile. If they have nothing else, we're fine. If they have another removal spell, another Piercing Exhale, we're in a tough spot. Alright, they're passing for now. We will play out our land, and then I think I'm a little worried. They only have 2 blockers, but I think we'll just play our Devoted Duelist. And then hopefully we have enough here. We're going to send it. If they have a removal spell, this is really tough. All right, we get there. We reach Mythic. Let's go. All right, we finally rank up to Mythic, which is super, super exciting here on the channel. Very, very fun milestone for us. We're going to keep playing this draft. Hopefully, you can win a cool giveaway for one of you all. We just want to take a moment and celebrate reaching Mythic, which is very, very exciting. We're doing a ton of just like funny, stupid challenges, and so climbing the ladder is super, super exciting there. All right, hopping into this next game, we do get to go first. If we drew a mountain, it would be fantastic. We have a lot of white cards. We're going to try it. We're going to try it because I think with the potential of us drawing a mountain, it can be fantastic. We can cast our Headliner, our Duelist, our War Effort, but if not, Bearer of Glory into 2/2 White Soldier creature token could be worse. All right, we draw another Plains here, which is not fantastic. But it's also not the end of the world quite yet. Still got a couple more draw steps at it. Okay, we're going to Molten Exhale our Bearer of Glory, which is interesting. And we do draw the Mountain. So we're going to whack him here with the Devoted Duelist. And then next turn we could play the War Effort, or we could play something like the Dawnbreaker and the Headliner. I do think now it probably makes more sense for us to just play the Meticulous Artisan into the Stadium Headliner, and then we'll play the War Effort next turn to maximize our damage and just go as wide as possible. I'm going to start by attacking here. If they want to trade, I'm totally fine with that. It opens the way for our Meticulous Artisan and then our Stadium Headliner next turn. So hopeful that we can play that, then the War Effort, and then have some decent attacks here. So our opponent has got a River Wheel Sweep for our Meticulous Artisan, which is quite good. I do think now we are still just interested in playing out our War Effort and maximizing damage that way. We're still going to make a 2/1 and a 2/2 attacking Atom, so we'll do 4 points of damage here. Sorry, 6 points of damage here because we're making the other 2/1. Not the worst thing in the world. Got our opponent down to 13. And then next turn we can play the Sarkhan and go get a treasure and then play our Ryland Dawnbreaker. Our opponent's got a Sibsig Appraiser, which is decent. Getting really good ability to filter their draws here. And then they're going to Molten Exhale our Stadium Headliner, which is super aggressive. So now I do think we'll just play out our Sarkhan. We'll get our treasure by revealing our Dawnbreaker, and then we'll play out our Fortress Kinguard. We're going to go super wide here, and then next turn we can attack, and then also we'll be able to play our Riling Dawnbreaker as its dragon form. And look, the Meticulous Artisan, it's going to come back. Ice Ridge Serpent is good. We'll get rid of one of our tokens. Tersa Lightshatter is also a really good draw. I think we're going to start by just playing the Riling Dawnbreaker, because now we can attack with the Dragon Ascendant as a 4/3 flyer. And then I do think we're going to put the 1/0 on the Fortress Kinguard just so it can attack through the Ice Ridge Serpent here. And if they want to trade the Sipsig Appraiser, that's also fine by me. We just want to clear the board out as much as we possibly can here. And then Tersa Lightshatter will be good. Our Meticulous Artisan is going to come untapped, so hopefully this is enough pressure here to get it done. Effortless Master is pretty strong here. Coordinated Maneuver is a fantastic draw. So I do think that we want to just start by attacking here. And then I'm going to put the +1/+0 on the Sarkhan, and this way if they want to try and block our Meticulous Artisan with the Effortless Master, we can still get the Prowess trigger with the Coordinated Maneuver and try and pick it off that way. Yeah, so here we're going to play the Coordinated Maneuver, keeping our Sarkhan alive. We're going to take out the Effortless Master and then still do 6 points of damage to our opponent. So I think we came out pretty good in that exchange. And then we'll have the Tersa Lightshatter next turn, so we'll be putting a lot of pressure on our opponent that way. Channeled Dragonfire is good at getting rid of our Riling Dawnbreaker, but is not going to do it here. All right, we get there again in this one. We're going to go ahead and attack with everything we've got here. I appreciate our opponent letting us see this one out, and we'll do 10 points of damage. And we get it done again. We are now 4-0 in this video, cruising through this challenge and rising the ranks of Mythic as we speak. All right, hopping into this next game, we do get to go first. However, we don't have any red sources and a lot of red cards here. We're going to go and mulligan this. I do like this better, although it is pretty slow. Our first creature is a 4-drop in the Meticulous Artisan, but I think it's tougher if we go down to 5 cards. So we're going to keep this 6 here, and hopefully we can draw some early action. And we're going to put back the Wild Ride here. GB Death still can be good with the War Effort, so we're going to keep that in our hand. And then hopefully we can draw some early action before our Meticulous Artisan. Or our opponent is just not super aggressive here. We do draw a Mountain there, which is not ideal. We'll see if our opponent has a quick start here. Jeskai Devotee is decent enough. Sonic Shrieker is a good draw. So now we can play the Meticulous Artisan, get that treasure, and then play the Sonic Shrieker. So I definitely am excited about that here. Dragonstorm Globe is good. So I do think now we're just going to play out our Meticulous Artisan. That way next turn we can play out our Sonic Shrieker, and then we can take out their Jeskai Devotee or force them to discard a card. And then eventually, hopefully, we can take over the game with the Windcrag Siege and the War Effort. I do think now we just cast it. And we're going to take out the Jeskai Devotee here. And then I am going to attack and offer this trade. I sometimes like doing things before combat like this, because I actually want to clear out their Meticulous Artisan, so that now we can clear the way, make room for our Windcrag Siege and our War Effort, and hopefully we can take over this game that way. They've got a Dragonologist, which is decent. They only got an Unending Whisper from it, which is not that good. And we here now can go Windcrag Siege. I guess we'll start by attacking first. And then we can go Windcrag Siege into Stadium Headliner, and we'll just start popping out tokens, and hopefully they'll be good with the Duty Beyond Death and the War Effort we have in hand. Our opponent's got a Boulderborn Dragon, which is good, and a Narset Jeskai Waymaster, which is good as a 3/4. They could draw a card here, and then they can discard their hand and draw 3 cards, which would be pretty insane. Looks like they are going to go for it here, unless they really like what they just drew. Yeah. So our opponent is going to get some card advantage there. I think now we want to start by just attacking everywhere. This way we can Duty Beyond Death, and then we can also Coordinated Maneuver against the Narset Jeskai Waymaster. So I do think we're going to Duty Beyond Death. Actually, we're going to Coordinated Maneuver first, so we can take out the Narset Jeskai Waymaster with the 4 creatures we have out there right now. And then we're going to Duty Beyond Death. We'll sacrifice our extra token here, and that way we can keep our 1/1 lifelinker alive and take out their Boulderborn Dragon and just clear the way for our 1/1 tokens we're making. Next turn War Effort is going to feel really strong as well. Our opponent's got an Iridescent Tiger into... Oh! Are you ready? Perfect! Wonderful!
Wow! Beautiful!
I think we just lose. Yeah, what a fun card. What a great card to have. Yeah. Yeah. But we have a 1/1 token to fight alongside. We're going to put out the War Effort. And... I mean, we can't even attack. We're so dead. We're so incredibly dead. Urni's good. I don't even know how we can get out of this. Stormshriek Feral is also great. So they're doing 17 here? Yeah. Let's just, yeah. We'll just die here. I'm cool with that. Okay, so we go down to a Ureni. I can't complain too much. That card is incredible, and we are now falling to 4-1 on the day. All right, hopping into the 6th game. We go first. We don't have any red sources. Could play the Pack Beast on 3, but I just don't think that hand is good enough. And this one is worse. Yeah, it's not that much worse. We can play a Fortress King Guard. So we are just going to play out our Fortress King Guard here, and then I do think we're interested in making the 1/1 white spirit creature. We can still trade with the Descendant of Storms depending on how they attack with it here. And then hopefully we can play our Sonic Shrieker. Just need a red source. So looks like our opponent has also got an aggressively scented deck. They've got an Embermail Sentinel to go help them get some mana, which we could use right now to help us get a red source. They actually are not going to go get a land with it. And then I think here, this is a little bit awkward. It's a little bit awkward. I think we're going to just start by attacking. I'm like super okay if we trade our creatures with their creatures here. And then we'll just play out our Riling Dawnbreaker. So I think we're going to attack here. They are not going to block, which is fine. And then we'll just play out our Riling Dawnbreaker. It still is going to block the Descendant of Storms decently well. And then hopefully we can draw a red source, can play something like a Sonic Shrieker or a Frontline Rush. So our opponent is going to attack. We'll see if they pump the Descendant of Storms or if they make a 1/1 here. Looks like they are going to make a 1-1. So I do think we're happy blocking it. I think we actually want this game to run long, just based on the lack of mana we have. So we're going to block the Sin of Storms here. I think we're happy with that trade. And their opponent does have a land into a Mardu Devotee. It's pretty good. Still good to get their Scry on. And hopefully we can pull a red source off the top here. Okay, we do. We pull the mountain off the top here. So we could coordinated maneuver the Mardu Devotee. We also could frontline rush here and just make a couple of 1-1s. Either way, I think we'll do both of those on our opponent's turn. So we'll kind of see what they do here, and then we can adjust. They're going to play a swamp. And they are going to pass. I do think, just because we only have one plains, we're interested in playing the frontline rush. So here we're going to make our 2 goblins. That way we can keep up the coordinated maneuver for our next turn. And then untap land, we can go Sonic Shrieker. So yeah, I think we're going to start by casting our Sonic Shrieker against their Mardu Devotee. So we're just going to try to cast it here. I would assume they probably have a removal spell. I don't know why they're keeping up with that much mana. But we're going to try to kill their Mardu Devotee here. And it just allows us to attack with all of our tokens. They have a Sun Pearl Kirin, which is pretty good at, they get to scry again next turn, but it does kind of open up our attacks here, so we can attack with everything. I think we're fine trading with anything they might have here, and then we can still block with our Sonic Shrieker, just because they have 1 toughness on all of their creatures. And now they will get some value getting to scry with Mardu Devotee, which is not great. But hopefully they'll struggle to remove our Sonic Shrieker here. So they're going to play the Mardu Devotee again, and they're going to be able to scry. So filtering their draws really well, but they're putting both on the bottom. So maybe that's good for us. Looks like they are eyeing our Sonic Shrieker with the removal spell, unfortunately. Yeah, Stormplane Attainment is fantastic. So that gets rid of our Sonic Shrieker. And then, so we'll take 5 there. Now, I do think we'll play the Devoted Duelist, and then we'll use the Coordinated Maneuver to destroy the Stormplane Detainment. Which is going to be pretty incredible for getting our Sonic Shrieker back. And then this time, we'll try and kill the Mardu Devotee for good. I guess we could try and get our opponent to discard a card. Do we really care about one of their last 2 cards? I think I'm more interested in just getting rid of the Mardu Devotee here. And then we can attack with everything we've got and start to really put some pressure on our opponent instead of putting it against them. We do also gain some life back, which is nice, and then we will attack for 6. Alright, so our opponent does have a land they're going to play out as a swamp, and then they could... Alright, so they're going to play a Furious Forebear here, which is fine by us. And then it looks like they might have removal spell. All right, so they're going to Worthy Cost with the Furious Forebear, which is pretty strong. So now they're going to attack with the Sun Pearl Kirin, but if we ever kill something, they can then bring back the Furious Forebear. I do think, though, we still now just want to be attacking with everything we've got. And if they want to trade, I think we're more than happy with that. And just getting our opponent's life total down as low as it can possibly get. So we'll do 3 points of damage here. We're going to clear the way a little bit, and then we can play our Starcon. They are going to get the Furious Forebear back here, which is kind of a bummer, but it's not blocking anything on this board too well. And then if we draw any action, I think we're in a pretty decent spot with what we've got here, especially like if we draw a dragon. So they are going to attack us with the Sun Pearl Kieran, which is interesting here. And they're going to Rebellious Strike. So they're getting a little bit aggressive here with their attacks. So now it'd be really good if we drew a dragon on our turn. It can make our Sarkhan into a 3/3. They're going to play out the Furious Forebear, which is fine. And then also Riling Dawnbreaker is pretty good. Here I think we're just going to play out our Bearer of Glory. And then next turn we can pump our entire squad, so we're not going to attack here. So they are going to play the Dalkovan encampment here, or I guess activate it so that they get a bunch of tokens. So that's not exactly what we want to see. We're going to block in a way that we can still be threatening lethal next turn. So I think we want to stop the Forebear, and then we want to stop their tokens as well. So here if they had Duty Beyond Death, we would be taking 5, which is fine. And then we're still leaving alive 3 creatures if we block like this. I do think we want to take out this token. And then on our turn, we'll still have the Kinguard and the Dragonstorm and the Bearer of Glory. Okay, so that resolves. We go down to 5. And then they can return the Furious Forebear back to their... Okay. Alright, so we're going to get there here as well. Awesome. So we move now to where we are 5-1 on the day and ripping through this run up to 527 Mythic ranked. Alright, hopping into this next one. Our opponent goes first, but I'm actually pretty excited about this hand we have. We've got access to the Boros colors and the encampment, so we are more than happy starting with this. Opponent's got a tap land to start. We are going to start by playing the encampment, so that next turn we can play our Fortress Kinguard into our Underfoot Underdogs. So, totally fine with that start. We do draw the Sonic Shrieker, which is... Oh, this could get countered, which would be a huge bummer. Yeah. That's tough. I mean, we can still play our Underfoot Underdogs next turn, so it's not going to be the absolute end of the world here. Wow, Globe into Sniper is fantastic. We're just going to play out our Underfoot Underdogs here, and then eventually, hopefully, we can draw some Swamps and play our Sonic Shriekers. Simsig Appraiser is also pretty solid. So we did not hit a land there, which is unfortunate. We did draw the Meticulous Artisan, though, so like if we draw another land, this is going to be good. So I do think that we are just going to play out the Riling Dawnbreaker, and then we can potentially make our token unblockable with the Underfoot Underdogs. So yeah, I'm just going to do that. We'll make a 2/2, which is fine, and then we'll make our token unblockable just so we can get in for some damage here. I do want to keep our board as wide as we possibly can with the Duty Beyond Death in our hand, so that hopefully we can get some value, and hopefully we can draw that land to play our Meticulous Artisan into our Sonic Shrieker. Here I actually am intrigued to block the Dragon Sniper. I think we're okay with that trade. Just so that when our Sonic Shrieker eventually does get cast... Ooh, Bloomvine Region is quite strong. And we still do not draw a land here, which is really unfortunate. So all we really can do is like play the Wild Ride on the unblockable token here. So I think that's going to be our path. We can't Defibrillate in Current. It's kind of all we can do. But we're in trouble in this one, to say the least. But we're going to smack them for 4. Doesn't feel great. They have an Ice Ridge Serpent, so they can get rid of our token here. And then hopefully we can go untap land. Okay, alright. We draw Mountain, so we can play our Meticulous Artisan. And then next turn, we can play our Sonic Shrieker and try and get rid of their Simstic Appraiser. We'll gain some life back, so hopefully we can try and stabilize here. But we still don't have a still don't have a swamp, so it's going to be hard for us to do too much. They've got an Unending Whisper here, which is fine. Embermail Sentinel is pretty decent. They'll get to add a land to the battlefield because they control a dragon in the Bloomvine region. So they'll ramp a little bit into whatever cards they have left. Oh boy, Twin Moss Stormbrood is pretty good. So we're going to lose our Meticulous Artisan here and then just take a bunch of damage from the Ice Ridge Serpent, the Bloomvine region, the Simstic Appraiser. I do think we're kind of forced to block here just to minimize our damage and try to clear the battlefield out, but we're pretty toasted in this one. We'll play out our Sonic Shrieker just because it gives us at least another turn we stay alive. We'll gain 2 life. We'll take out the Embermail Sentinel, but we are pretty dead here. Pretty dead. Yeah, so we'll block the Bloomvine region, but it's kind of a lost cause here. If we draw a swamp, we're in a tough place. Earthcarver is also great. So we just, we stumbled early here. And we are going to drop to 5 and 2 on the day. We'll take out their Dusty and Earthcarver here for good measure. And then let's go ahead and find the concede button here. So we go down in this one. Alright, so one quick edit I did want to make in between games is I put in the Embermail Sentinel and took out the Defibrillating Current just so that we can have some more ability to cast our Sonic Shrieker. We'll be able to get swamps that way, and hopefully we can get some better lands and turn this thing around a little bit. Alright, hopping into this next game, we go first. We do have the Embermail Sentinel in hand. And that is going to help us to go get a Plains and make this hand viable. So we're going to keep this one here. And then we're going to play our Embermail Sentinel on 2 if we don't draw a Plains. So that we can go and get our Windcrag Siege. A swamp draw is actually pretty good. So now we can get a Plains here and feel confident about that. So that eventually we will be able to cast our dragons with this swamp. We will take that action. We will go get a Plains. And then next turn, we can play our Windcrag Siege. Jeskai Devotee is pretty decent. I do think now we are fine attempting to trade with the Jeskai Devotee. I'm also fine with him just taking 2. And then we can play out our Windcrag Siege and just start spitting out tokens. It's going to make our frontline rush really good eventually. Coin Mountain Stalwart is pretty great if they can start double spelling. We draw the Sarkhan Dragon Ascendant here. So I do think just for the most efficient use of our mana, we want to play the Sarkhan followed by the Bearer of Glory here. But I think I'm just going to go with the Sarkhan Dragon's Ascendant here into the Bearer of Glory. And so we're just going as wide as we possibly can here so that our frontline rush is eventually quite good. And we'll just keep spitting out tokens with the Windcrag Siege. Runescaled Stormbrood is pretty good here. We're going to play out a Plains and then just play out our Underfoot Underdogs. And then I do think we want to continue just holding up our frontline rush here. We could potentially make 2 more 1/1s. And then hopefully they don't start double spelling on us. Oh, wow. They've got an Elspeth. Are we just dead? So they can put 1/1 counters on everything, and we're kind of on a 2-turn clock here. I mean, they also are close to being dead. So here we would take 12 this turn. They would be dead on the counterattack with our frontline rush. So that if they attack us here, then we'll make another token with the Windcrag Siege. They would be dead with the Frontline Rush. So I think they're also trying to do the quick math there, just determine if an attack is viable here. I assume they'll attack with like the Runescale Stormbrood. They aren't going to attack at all, which is surprising. So here I do think we're going to start by playing the Dalkovan Pack Beasts. I'm pretty worried about their life total though, so we are going to attack with our life linker against our opponent. And then if they block with something, we can potentially use our Frontline Rush to kill it. And then we'll gain 10 life here. So not the end of the world. And if they let it go unblocked, we also would have been fine. We were basically trying to sneak in 10 points of damage. But I think that exchange is also okay. We just have a humongous board presence here. And we can buff things with the Bearer of Glory. Elspeth is going to start making 1/1 tokens, but I think our 2/2 tokens next turn will do a good job of attacking into that. Looks like here they are going to take the -3 ability and destroy our Dalkovan Pack Beasts, which is pretty solid. We're going to continue making goblins. Fortress Kingguard is a pretty good draw here. So I do think now we are just going to attack with everything but our Bearer of Glory. And then we can basically just buff our entire board. We are going to be sacking some creatures and some tokens to the Jeskai Devotee and the Quarry Mountain Stalwart. But I do think we have to just start pinging away. We can play our Fortress Kingguard and then eventually can just kind of whittle away at our opponent here. So like here we're doing 10 points of damage. We're gaining 2 life back, which feels relatively good. We've got our opponent down to 8. And then we'll play our Fortress Kingguard next turn. They are going to make a couple of 1/1 soldiers, which is pretty solid. And then hopefully they can't double spell, get some life back. Devoted Duelist is good. I'm afraid they're going to double spell here. So they do have another land in their hand, so there's one more card. Ooh, Monastery Messenger is really good. Oh, but they can't get anything back with it, so it's actually fine. It's not fantastic, but they do a good job of restabilizing the board here. Coordinated Maneuver was a really solid draw, so I do think we'll probably start by playing our Fortress Kingguard here, and then we'll just Coordinated Maneuver we'll make a 1/1. We'll Coordinated Maneuver and destroy the Elspeth, so they can't just keep popping out 1/1 tokens. And then we are not going to be attacking this turn, so our opponent's doing a really good job of restabilizing their side of the board. They do draw a land there, which is good for us, but they can put some tokens on the Monastery Messenger and put us on currently what is a 7-turn clock. So we need to find an answer for the Monastery Messenger here as we continue to just kind of build out our board. Evolving Wilds is not what we were looking for. So I do think we want to keep attacking here just to do as much pressure as we possibly can. We've got 9 creatures attacking into 6, so doing at least doing at least 6 points of damage, and then hopefully clearing out their Duelist and their tokens here. But we definitely are starting to sacrifice some creatures to them, but I think us just continuing to be able to pump out things with the Windcrag Siege, this makes the most sense. And then I would assume they're just going to double block this token. If they spread it out, that'd be nice for us. Yeah, they're just going to double block. So we'll pump everything here, and then our opponent will take 8. And we'll just continue trying to clear out their side of the board here. I think it's better to do this and be aggressive than just kind of wait for the Monastery Messenger to kill us. So that's kind of my logic for why we're going for it here and being super, super aggressive. We've got them down to 3. And then I actually am going to play this Evolving Wilds and go get I guess it doesn't really matter what we get here. We'll get a Mountain just so that we can potentially pump and play a spell eventually in future turns. Wow, Channel Dragonfire is such a good draw. So they can now double spell, take out another token, and we're taking a bunch of damage here. So our aggressiveness is really being penalized. They aren't going to attack everywhere, though, which is nice for us. If they had, this would be a worse scenario. I think we're just going to play out the Riling Dawnbreaker as a 3/4 here. And then hopefully we can try and block the Monastery Messenger. But I don't think we want to be attacking quite yet. And we'll just continue slowly taking hits from the Monastery Messenger. We are not going to block. We'll take 4. Ooh, Wild Ride is interesting. I do think we are really wanting to get rid of the Monastery Messenger here. And so if we play the Wild Ride on the Riling Dawnbreaker and they don't have a removal spell in hand, then they're forced to block with the Monastery Messenger. And so I think that's going to be what we're going to play here. If they have a removal spell, it's really bad. And then we're just going to attack with the Riling Dawnbreaker. I'm going to save the Wild Ride for a future turn, depending on what we draw. And then we are just going to pass our turn there. And then now next turn we can play that with a lifelink token and start to attack more aggressively. Wow, Focus the Mind is really good. So they get back up to 4 cards. If they double spell here, they get up to 7 life. That might just do it here for us. This has been an insane game. The Windcrack Sieger's done work for us. They discard 8 planes. Hopefully just 3 other lands in their hand. They draw an Arid Mesa, which is fine. If they have another spell, it's going to be pretty good. But if they don't, we'll actually have a chance here. Okay, they don't have another spell, which is great for us. Another mountain is not ideal, but I do think we want to just give the lifelink token the Wild Ride here. And then we will attack with it. We'll get some life back. And then just keep trying to make tokens and just eat away at our opponent's life total. So we are actually just going to attack everywhere here. Just so that we can put the most pressure on our opponent. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. If they block here, we're in trouble. So they must have a removal spell for the token. Yeah, Overwhelming Surge is great. Oh, I'm surprised they didn't cast the Overwhelming Surge on their turn to double spell, but I guess that makes sense. So they'll take 3 here as it stands. I'd be surprised if they cracked the Arid Mesa here to go down to 1. And, I mean, we'll see. Wow, they are going to go to 1. Interesting. I think that might have been a potential misplay, just because now we'll be making two attackers, so they have to remove something and play something. Sunset Strike Master does not get it done unless they have something else in hand. Alright, that's all they've got for now. And, I mean, we've been playing recklessly all game. We've been playing super aggressively, super chaotically, probably not technically correctly. I think we have to go for it here. If we attack everywhere and we're right and they don't have anything else, we win. So hopefully this works. It's really hesitating on our opponent. We get there! I don't know how we won that game. We had no business winning that game. We are back up to rank 658 here. And we jump forward now. We have got 6 wins on this draft, so we are now playing for a trophy. Alright, so in this last game, we get to go first, and I am excited about it because if we get 7 wins, I'm giving away a draft to one of you. All you have to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below on how you think I did, and hopefully I can bring this trophy home and get one of you a sick draft to play. So let's jump into it here. We are excited. We are on the play. We can play the stadium headliner, and hopefully that's enough to get it done here. Wow, now we can go Stadium Headliner into Devoted Duelist, and we're doing 4 points of damage on turn 2 in Limited, which feels insane. And then next turn we can potentially Duty Beyond Death. We could also play the 2/2 Riling Dawnbreaker side, which is pretty decent. I do think now, instead of playing out the other planes, we can only cast 1 spell for 2 mana, so we're going to play out the Evolving Wilds. I think we'll probably just attack everywhere, and then we could potentially Duty Beyond Death here, which I do think is worth it to just buff our board a little bit. And then we're going to play the Evolving Wilds as a swamp. And then next turn, we can play the Riling Dawnbreaker, and then we can play the Coordinated Maneuver to just take out whatever they have. And I mean, we've got 5 power, really 6 on the board right now. Wow, they don't have anything else. So we're going to go Devoted Duelist first. Another incredible draw. And then I'm going to go ahead and play the 2/2 white soldier creature token to get those 2 points of damage from the Devoted Duelists. We're just going to attack everywhere. Holy cow. We have a crazy start here. Looks like they do have like an Osseous Exhale. So it's not great. They do have a Jeskai Shrinekeeper, which is good, but we've got them down to 8. And then hopefully we can coordinate a maneuver wherever they play here. Rediscover the Way is good. But we can just frontline rush here, hopefully. We're going to go for it. And we get there. Let's go. We end up finishing our Mythic run with a trophy as well. Alright, so here is the deck that gets it done today. We hit Mythic and win a trophy, and I'm giving away a draft to one of you. All you have to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below on how you think I did. Very chaotic video. I played very aggressively, probably incorrectly at some points, but we ended up getting it done here. I'll be reaching out to one of you on how to claim that free draft, and hopefully you can get something fun with it. Thanks y'all for watching. Until next time.